She was a maiden. Maiden is whom do we term as maidens? Very young women, that is early 20s. Okay, of rarest beauty, rarest, very very beautiful. Means she was matchless, and not more lovely than full of glee. What is glee? Who can tell me the meaning of glee? You can underline and you will tell me when I will ask you later. And evil was the hour. Now underline this line. This is important line. And evil was the hour when she saw and loved and wedded the painter. Now this was her bad time. When she fell in love with that painter, she loved him, then she then she was in love with him, and then she wedded him. Means she was so beautiful, she was a cheerful personality, and now this was a bad time. This was the bad time in her life that she was in love with the painter. Now we will come to know the reason why it was bad. Because the painter, his passionate, studious, and austere had already having already a bride, and in his art, she a maiden of rarest beauty, and not more lovely than full of glee, all lights and smile, full of fun, loving all things, hating only the art which was her rival, dreading only the palettes and the brushes. Palettes where painters take out some paint, and then the brushes where there are various number of brushes you must also be having, that took away from her the face of her lover. Passionate meaning is there, means he was mad to do. When you are very eager, means when you just want to do that thing only. Studious, what is that studious? Again, the meaning is there, very serious. And then the austere, that is stern, cold in appearance or manner, means he was not at all lively. The girl was a lively person, but the painter was not. He was opposite to her. He was just mad about painting and about his art. Now this girl was see all the full of glee, all lights, and means she had a smiling face. She was a lively person, very cheerful personality, full of fun, loving all things. She used to love everything. She used to like everything, but the only thing she disliked was her husband's passion to paint, and paint. The rival is the competitor, and dreading, what is dreading? That is fearing. She feared this feature of him. It was thus a terrible thing, terrible, unpleasant, bad, extreme condition for her, for this lady to hear the painter to speak of his desire to portray even his young bride. Instead of going out for walk, going on dinners, spending time together, means newly wedded couple go for vacations now, and this was not at all his in his plans. He just wanted to paint her. Now this was really bad for whom? For the wife to hear, for the lady in the portrait to hear. But she was humble, means she was not a woman with the pride. She was not prideful, and she was obedient, means she used to obey, she used to listen, and sat meekly. Now meekly, humbly, meekly is another word for humble, for many weeks in the dark high turret chamber. Many weeks, imagine, where the light dripped, that is fell, come just upon the pale canvas, that is the dull canvas. It is always off white or white now before painting is completed, only from the overhead. But he who the painter, the husband, took glory in his work. He felt honored, great honor. He felt that he had a feeling of honor in his work, which went on from hour to hour and from days to days. He used to just make her sit in front of her, and he used to use his strokes of his brush on the portrait, on the canvas. And he was a passionate and wild and moody man. Wild means he must have a tendency to lose temper soon, get angry soon. That is wild word is used. Passionate meaning is already given, and I've told you also. Moody, what moody indicates? Moody indicates irritable. He used to lose his temper very soon, get angry very soon. Who became lost in his dreams so that he would not see that the light which fell upon so gazily in that long tunnel withered the health and the spirit of his wife. Means just that light was really depressing this situation to sit for hours and hours, for days and days, to weeks, was really depressing for the wife, and she was becoming weak, and her health was deteriorating. She was losing the spirit in her, and she was losing that life force in her. Of his wife who pined, that is grieved visibly to all but him. Everybody there, maybe the servants or the other members there, they noticed that the lady was deteriorating in her health. She was losing all her liveliness, but this was not at all visible to the painter. He was just mad after completing that painting or that portrait. Yet she smiled on and sit on without complaining. Though she was not feeling well, though she was losing hope, though it was depressing for her, but she sat and smiled for her husband and sit on without complaining. She was not making any complaint because she saw that the painter was famous also. The painter was known for his work. Famous means known, enjoyed his work, and he was the man, his man, sorry, her husband was enjoying making her portrait and wrought day and night to depict her who so loved him. Wrought, that is shaped, day and night to depict, to show, reveal, complete the portrait. Yet who grew daily weaker and weaker, but the woman was getting weaker and weaker day by day. People who had seen the portraits spoke of how realistic it was, means how real, how full of life it was, and a proof not less of the power of the painter than his deep love for her whom he depicted so surpassingly well. And people who were not aware about the fact that woman was depressed and was losing her health, they said that the portrait was full of life, and the man must have loved this woman very much. That's why he is able to. That's why he is able to make this portrait full of life. The painter had grown wild with the adore of his feeling, intense feeling, adore of his work. That is, he was now very, very serious about to complete intense feelings, work, and rarely turned his eyes away from the canvas to look at his wife. He just used to look at her and then start giving strokes to the portrait. He was not at all concerned about the health and the condition of his wife. Rarely turned his eyes away from the canvas and look at his wife, and he would not see that the tints, the color which he has spread upon the canvas were drawn from the cheeks of her who sat beside him. Now he forgot the fact that the blush he was having in his portrait was just the result of the color from the cheeks of the young woman. Means she was so beautiful, that is why he was able to see her and portray her out, but he was not bothered about the condition of his wife. And when many weeks had passed but little reminded to do except one brush upon the mouth and one tint upon eyes, means something must have been left to paint near the lips or the glow in the eyes. Okay, the spirit of the lady again flickered up as the flame with the socket of the lamp. Now this line, the spirit, underline, the spirit of the lady again flickered up. So I mean, you can have the example of the small lamp. if the oil has finished in the lamp, or a candle is about to extinguish, it flickers, now it shakes. So it was the moment when she was about to die. Her efforts, her uh, her efforts, her zeal to live has exhausted. This is a simile here. She is compared to a extinguishing lamp. Okay, underline it. The spirit of the lady again flickered up as the flame with the socket of the lamp. Now she was about to die. As the flame flickers, now you must have seen in during Diwali festival when the candle burns down and it flickers before getting extinguished. This was the condition of the lady who was sitting there for weeks and weeks for her husband. Then the brush was given, means again, but he still did not notice. He was just giving the strokes to the lips and the tint in the eyes, and the tint was placed. That is, the color was placed, and for one moment the painter stood entranced before the work. What is entranced? Deeply thought. I mean, he was fascinated. He was so happy to see his work, that he has painted a real portrait of her wife. Means it was full of a real life. Is entranced before the work which he had wrought, but in the next, while he yet gazed, he grew tremulous and very pallid. Pallid is dull and aghast, crying with a loud voice. He gave a remark. This is indeed life itself. Means he was satisfied with his work, that he has made a portrait which is full of life. Turned suddenly to regard his will. Now he felt like regarding, showing his gratefulness towards his wife who sat for him for so long. But now he realized she was dead. Now see what he lost. He lost that beautiful woman, that beautiful wife who used to love him so much, just to fulfill the passion he had to paint her portrait. So this story helps us to realize the fact that we should concentrate on the reality instead of being mad after some passion or some dreams. Okay, so now if there is, now the story is finished, and if there is anything you want to ask, you can ask.